Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'm going to take a look at Dibs by Daniel Danzer, published by H-Town Games. This is a game for 2 to 5 players for ages 6 and up, which plays in about 20 to 30 minutes. This game is being crowdfunded right now, so I'll put a link in the description below where you can find it. This is a prototype, so be aware that everything in this video is still a prototype and final components may vary. Now, before I start explaining how to play the game and share my thoughts, I'd like you to please hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. If you have, you're an absolute legend. It really helps the channel. And also please check out my Patreon page by clicking the link in the description below. Patrons of my channel get early access to all of my videos, access to Patreon exclusive content, their name in the credits, and you also save up for physical rewards such as the BGH animal pin. Alright, with that out of the way, let's set up a game. To set up the game, every player chooses one of the 5 characters and their respective deck. Every deck has one character card with stars on one side and all of these different item cards in different colors with their character on the back as well. You place your character card with the side with the stars face up in front of you with the 2 stars in the top right corner like this. This is your starting points basically. And you take all the other cards, give that deck a good shuffle, and then you draw 5 cards if you're playing a 4 or 5 player game, or 6 cards if you're playing a 2 or 3 player game. But don't look at them just yet. Keep them face down. You can fan them out already in your hand. And that's the whole setup. Let's explain the rules. Decide who gets to go first and give that player the first player card. And that player takes all the dice and gives those a roll. Just roll them on the table, not in the box, like so. And then just put them somewhere where everybody can see them well. So for example, like this. There you go. And then when everybody is ready and has their cards in their hands, I try to hold them upside down like this. Then the player with the first player marker who rolled the dice shouts dibs. And at that point, everybody simultaneously flips around their cards and takes a look at them. Now, all the players will at the same time try to find cards that match both colors and symbols on the dice that were rolled. So for example, let's see, I have a butterfly here and this one is blue. There is a butterfly here and there's also a blue, and these are of course wilds. They have all 3 colors. So I would want to score this card, and that means I have to throw it in the box as fast as I can. And of course, other players will be doing the same at the same time. So you have to pay attention at what other people are tossing into the box as well. And of course, the order in which people throw them is important, because first come, first serve when scoring. So at some point you might notice, hey, there's a lot of red cards being played. There's 3 red here, but you could use these jokers as well. So has the let's see, has the gem been played? Yes, it has, so it wouldn't be much help playing this, but I could still score for having a red card, so why not? I'm gonna toss that in. And at some point you're thinking, well, maybe I can't score anymore. Maybe just for the color, you know, let's try this as well. And at some point you're thinking, okay, I'm done. And then you simply say pass. And play continues until all players have passed, and then scoring commences. So let's say a couple more cards were played perhaps. And then the starting player takes out all the cards, but you keep them in the order they were thrown in, and you flip them around and you simply put them on the table. I'll take these cards from my hand back. And then you're going to flip these over one by one and see what matches. So the first card was one of mine, and this is a blue butterfly. So there was a blue butterfly, so I'll take these dice and put them aside. I have now scored this card, so I flip it over and I put the 2 points on top of my starting card. And there are 2 rounds of scoring. First, you check to see cards that match both color and symbol, and you put the cards that only match one of them back into the box. So let's continue here. The cat player played a red gem. Well, there is still a red gem combination here. So they also score 2 points. Green player tossed in a card next. That's a red spider, which is also still on the table. So they also score 2 points. The pink player tossed in a card, which was also a red gem. Well, the symbols are already gone, so this card is going back into the box. And I played another card. Again, no more symbols, so this is all going back. This is also yellow, it's still on the table, so that goes back. This is yellow, and basically everything will go back because there's some wilds there. So everything just goes back in the same order. Then the second round of scoring starts. And you start flipping over cards again. So this time starting with the pink player. That player does score for the red, so we'll take away this red die here. And now they only score 1 point for only having matched one of the 2 criteria. I also tossed in another card. There's another red here, so we can use one of the wilds for the red. So that's 1 point for me. I just flip that over like that, put it on my scoring stack. And another card, which is yellow, so I used up this wild. And that will give me another point. But there's still cards left and no more dice. So that means this doesn't match anything at all. And even if there was, for example, still a die left that didn't match anything, then this card would be discarded into the yellow players, or yeah, the green players' discard pile. But they would also lose a point. So if they already had, say, these points here, they would also have their starting player card, so they had 4 points at this point, but they didn't score anything with this. They discard this card and they lose a point. So you simply take one of their cards, flip that around to indicate 1 point has gone, and if you don't have any, you simply just take that card away and discard it as well. There was yet another card still in the box. Again, this doesn't match anything because everything was gone. So they lose another point. This gets discarded, and I can either rotate this card or just take this card away and discard that as well, leaving me with 2 points for the green player. There is also a net result among the dice, which I didn't roll in my example, but when a net is rolled, then the first card out of the scoring pile that has 0 matches, so no color or symbol, can actually be scored by removing the die with the net on it. Then that player scores 2 points as normal, but can also give 2 minus points to the other players. So you can either give 1 player 2 minus points or 2 players 1 minus point. So if a net is rolled, it's actually a good idea to discard one of your cards into the box that hasn't any matches at all. After that, the starting player passes the starting player card to the player on their left, and you draw back up to the number of cards that you started with. So you flip the cards that you might still have around, draw back up to 5 in this case, or 6 in a 2 or 3 player game. You hold them in your hand again, face down, until the next player has rolled the dice once more and calls dibs. And you keep on playing until at the beginning of a round, the draw pile of any player is depleted, and you either, you draw back up to 5 and you have no more cards left, or if you have less cards, you draw back up to what you can. You might have less cards for the final round, and that will be the final round, followed by final scoring. So at the end of the game, you simply add up all the points you have on your cards, not the ones in the lower left corner. Those don't count, only the ones in the upper right that you can see. And of course, the player with the most treasure points wins the game. And in case of a tie, the player with the most cards in hand and draw pile combined wins the game. And if that's still a tie, you share the victory. And those are all the rules for Dibs. Let's go to my final thoughts. So my final thoughts on Dibs by H-Town Games, and remember, this is a prototype of the game, so the components aren't final, but the most of the components that you'll find, of course, are cards, and these cards are already really good looking. They are pretty sturdy and thick. They're printed nicely. They're nice and big enough, so everything on it is very clear. There's not that much information on it anyway, but you need to be able to see it quickly, and you can clearly see that this is a butterfly and the color is blue, and that's basically all you need to know. So, and the rest of the box is really nice. The box is big enough so that you can throw in your cards easily. It's got broad edges, so if you toss in a card in the middle, it'll probably land in the middle nicely. You can toss it pretty far and it'll go in just fine, because this is of course an important part of the game. The box is used in the gameplay. So even though it's basically just cards and a few dice, technically the box could have been smaller, but since you use this, it's just the size it needs to be. Components are otherwise good. The dice are nice. You have your standard different colored dice here, and you have some dice with these special faces on them, and the faces are also very clear and nicely, and it looks all very lovely. And otherwise, that's basically it. You got your box and the rule book, and that's it. The art is really cool. I really dig the artwork there. It's very colorful and it looks very modern, and the comic book style is really cool. And yeah, I just really love it. It looks absolutely lovely. I love the art on all of this, on the backs of the cards as well, for all the different characters. That's just a lot of fun. And I love that one of the characters is a cat, the magical cat. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to play with that? Super fun. So artwork, absolutely big thumbs up. The theme is nice. You're basically just matching colors and symbols, so it's pretty abstract, but they slapped on a nice theme. It could have been anything really, so it doesn't really add to the gameplay, but it's fun to think of this as, a family or some friends trying to catch the most desirable creatures in nature, and or a mushroom, or sometimes even a jewel, in the right color, which is determined by the dice. But anyway, the theme is okay. The gameplay is fast and furious, really. You've got your cards, you're not looking at them. Somebody rolls the dice, shouts dibs, at which point you flip over your cards, your hand, and you look at it, you match up the symbols and the colors of the dice that were rolled, and you just try to be the first to toss in cards that match them. And remember that if you match, for example, a blue butterfly, then mentally cross out those results on the dice and look for the next one and try to get that one in as quickly as possible. You're just being really fast, and everybody's being fast, so also when somebody else tosses something in, also cross those off and think, okay, I can't use that anymore because that's already been used. So you really have to be fast, and it's a pretty frantic game. So it might not be for everyone, but it is a lot of fun. It's a game that gets a lot of laughs and a lot of hysteria. You're like, oh no, I wanted to throw that card, and go to the next one. Look what's next. And it's very frantic, and I personally like that a lot. But it's a very light game, and it's something you can easily play with kids or with any age, really. So yeah, that's basically what it does. If you've watched the rules, you know how this plays, and you'll probably be able to decide if this is something for you or not. Personally, I liked it. It's a very light game. It's a fun filler game. It's pretty quick. The replayability is all right. I mean, this is basically as replayable as long as you like it, as long as you want to play it. You might go for a rematch, you might go a couple of games in a row and then put it away again. But you're basically playing the same game over and over. It's simply matching colors and symbols, and that's what it is. So your miles may vary. Language dependency is excellent because it's language independent. All you need to know are the rules, and otherwise it's simply, again, just matching colors and symbols with the cards on your hand. So you're constantly looking at your cards and at the dice, and anyone can do that. So that's a lot of fun. The only issue I can see here is perhaps for the colorblind. There's no green on the results, so there's red, but no green. So there's blue and yellow, so maybe the base colors might not be that much of a problem for the colorblind, but there is that to keep in mind if you want to get this game or not. So otherwise, in conclusion, I think this is a pretty fun, lovely, very hectic little game. Absolutely check it out. It's being crowdfunded. I'll put a link in the description below where you can find it. Remember, this was a prototype, but it's mostly just cards, so it's just gonna look pretty much as it looks in this video. I hope that was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. That really helps the channel. And please also check out my Patreon page by clicking the link in the description below or the icon at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.